Hi guys, it's Natalie, the Ginger Quilter, and today I am going to work on something live with you guys, which I haven't done for a good while, so I'm excited to sew with you guys. And what we're working on today is the Patchy Pumpkin quilt. This came in the fall mega box, which went out a few weeks ago, and this is the pattern we're working on. Patchy Pumpkin Farm. Sorry, I think I just wrote Patchy Pumpkins. It's Patchy Pumpkin Farm. But I'm going to work on this truck. So this is kind of the live sew along, hang out and chat with me. And we're just going to work on this together. It's not going to be a step-by-step tutorial because honestly, the pattern is so detailed. Look at all these color pictures. And there are quite a few steps, so I don't know that I could do it any better live than you have in your pattern already. So we're just gonna hang out and sew along. You'll see my process, and hopefully I can help you if you have any questions, of course, and we're just gonna have a good time. So hey Liz, hey Holly, thanks so much for tuning in. We are going to get started, which means I need my crisp Diet Coke in the morning. It is 10:30, which means I'm allowed to have this because that's my rule. 10:30, I can't have one before 10:30. So let's go. Okay, I have cut all my fabric and there are a lot of pieces to this pattern, as you can imagine, especially when you get a detailed quilt block like this. You get a lot of little pieces, and the key is to label everything. This pattern comes with labels already in it, so you just cut them up and put them on, which is so helpful and so nice. I'm remembering I forgot to put on my microphone, so hang on one second. I know you guys can, I know you can hear me, but the microphone really does make a big difference. So I'm gonna put my microphone on real quick. And then hopefully it won't feel so far away. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. Let me know if something is not, if the audio is bad or anything like that, just let me know. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I've labeled everything. Hopefully my labels don't fly away because they're just little slips of paper. I didn't pin them on. But to start this, the truck is kind of sewn in three different portions. So you have this top window, you have the wheels, and then you have the bed of the truck, kind of the rail back here. So today we're going to start on the window unit here. And if we get to one of the wheels, then great. I did sew one of the wheels last night just because there's two, and I was like, I'm just going to get a head start. And let me show you that. This is one of the wheels, you guys. This is a big truck. So as you can see, we've got a green truck, which I am so excited about. I think that's going to be really fun. I think it's going to complement our pumpkin blocks really nicely, and it's going to be great. So this is one of the wheels. We still have to make another wheel, which I'm going to show you guys, and then the window. So let's get started. Sorry, that Diet Coke's getting to me. So I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. And it is my niece's birthday today. So happy birthday to Elsie, my niece. I can hear my dogs barking. I hope that's not a bad sign. Okay, so like I said, I gotta keep track of all my little pieces here. I was supposed to film this yesterday, but my kids decided to be sick yesterday. My youngest daughter, she decided to have a stomach ache. I say that like she was faking. She wasn't. She had a stomach ache. So she stayed home with a stomach ache, and then my other daughter called me from school and was like, Mom, I'm getting a migraine. So, which she does get periodically. So she came home and I was worried that this meant we were all like coming down with something, but no, it was just two separate issues at the same time, luckily. And luckily they were not like they were ill, you know, they didn't have like a bug. They just had some ailments. I gotta grab my rotary cutter. I always hang up my rotary cutter at night, even though my kids are older. I still worry that they're gonna slice their hand off while I'm asleep. Okay, so our first step is we just snowballed this corner to make our window. This is the big window piece right here. And we just snowballed this corner right here to start. Okay, so now I'm gonna press that out. I should move this so maybe you can see my hands a little bit better. I'm gonna press that out and sew on there. At least you get some of my table. You get my head cut off, but I don't know which is better. I'm gonna press that and then we're gonna sew green on top and on bottom for that. And when I'm working in limited areas here, there's just a lot of shuffling that goes on. So we're gonna shuffle pieces over. And press. Okay, here we go. Easy peasy. I'm just gonna leave my mat here. So now I'm gonna put these pieces on top and on bottom. Okay, I'm shifting. I noticed because there's a lot of corners that we have to sew and then snip off. There's a lot of moving my needle position on my machine. So I go from like center, because when I'm sewing on a diagonal line, I'm going to sew on the center, right? And then like center needle position. And then I have to switch it back to 1/4 inch needle position. I'm not sure I like my head cut off like that. There, that's a happy medium. So I do have to shift my needle a lot on my machine, but that is okay. And I have to tell you guys, I've been on a journey, a 1/4 inch journey lately. I've noticed that my my blocks are always too small. Like from whenever I'm sewing something, the pattern will say, you know, your block should measure 8.5 by 8.5, right? And my blocks are always too small. And so I think what's going on is sorry, I try not to talk while the machine's running. I think I'm not nailing the scant 1/4 inch seams. So I've been trying to do it narrower. My seam allowance is just a little bit narrower, and I think it's helping. So on my machine, the way I do my 1/4 inch. You know, there's like a million ways to do it. I just move my needle position to the width that I know is a 1/4 inch, and because I've measured it. And now I'm going to the one that I measured and then one little tick further, and it's really helping. So that's been part of my journey. I used to like not believe in scat quarter. Why do I keep saying that? Scant, not scat. Scat is poop. We don't want that. Scant 1/4 inch seam allowances. I was like, that's not a thing. We're just gonna do our normal 1/4 inch. But especially when you're working on a block where you start and then you build on it and build on it and build on it, that scant 1/4 inch seam really makes a difference on your measuring. So that is what I've been working on. Okay, so if you guys are watching, I do have a few people watching right now. Let me know, did you get the fall mega box? Is this a project that you're working on too? Or are you just here to hang out? I would love to chat with you guys. Okay, so we've got our window. Look, here's the window, top and bottom. Now we are going to work on the side of our window over here. Can you see that? We're going to work over here. And one thing, for better or for worse, this pattern is written different than some of the other patterns I've worked with that are similar, of like a very detailed block like this truck. And so like with you, say Pen and Paper. Pen and Paper is another one of the designers that designs very ornate blocks like this. And she will have you label your pieces A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? So this is block A, this is block B. And this pattern had you label pieces with just the measurements. So when it's time to grab a 1.5 inch square, it's not labeled, square F, it's labeled 1.5 inch square. So it does make for a little bit of, like, you have to think, okay, is this 1.5 by 1.5 or whatever? But ultimately, it totally works. You just have to shift your brain a little bit, because I'm used to the letter labeling. And also, if you are sewing this with me from the Fall Mega Box quilt, this is the window fabric and the background fabric are the same fabric. So they're the same color, and in the pattern, they're slightly different. So just so you're aware, they're the same color. Oops, nope, seam allowance. So don't let that confuse you. I did it that way because I wanted it to look like the truck is just like the windows hanging open, So, hey, Ryan, you're just hanging out. Hey, you're totally welcome. No worries. Yeah, I'm glad to have people watching. It's kind of fun. I don't always have. Sometimes I'm just here chatting with myself, so it's fun to have an audience. Okay, so here's our truck window so far. See, it feels tedious. It feels like it's going to take forever, but it does come together fairly quick. So don't you worry. We're going to get there. All right, so I got 3 sides of my window. Now I got to sew on this side over here. And make sure I get the right fabric. This one is easy. This one I don't have any corners to knock off yet. Okay. Have you guys, I have to tell you about this song I have stuck in my head. There's a song going around the internet. It's by a songwriter named Lewky, Lewky. I follow him on Instagram, and he takes these funny conversations of like bad dates or bad Tinder conversations or things like that, and he turns them into songs. And there's one that he's written that is like just popping off right now. I don't know what it's called, but it's I have one daughter. So I have one daughter. And then the other person comes back and says, I understand, but is she from the same father? And it's because it was a stupid, meaningless conversation and confusing. Anyway, that's stuck in my head right now. I am just hanging out as well as recovering from oral surgery. Oh, Liz, I'm so sorry. That is not fun. I hope that your surgery went well and that you are comfortable and cozy on a couch or on your bed somewhere, and that you heal up quickly, because oral surgery is not fun. Not fun at all. All right, so here's our window. We're covered in on 4 sides now. We need to do this corner, marking a diagonal. There we go. So I'm really excited at how the colors have come together for this one. And I love how the green on the truck is going to really complement the orange and the greens of our pumpkins. I did make a pumpkin last night too. I'll show you that pumpkin. I'm not sure I sewed that super straight, but Done is better than perfect. Okay. So there's that. Let me show you my pumpkin real quick. I've sewn a bazillion pumpkins in my life, pumpkin blocks, right? But this one is very unique because of the curly stem. And I just think it's really cute. So it takes a little bit more time to make the curly stem, but it does make it more visually interesting, right? All right, let's turn this around. Okay. All right, I second guessed myself for a second. I thought maybe I sewed too big of a square, but I think we're good. So now we're going to sew onto the bottom of our window. All right. Today is a rainy day, and I am so excited. Well, okay, it hasn't rained yet, but it's cloudy, and that feels good while I'm sewing a fall quilt. I'm loving that. I swear we went the whole summer without rain. And in just the last few days, we've gotten just a smidge of it, and it's been glorious. Rain is my preferred weather. If it could rain all day, every day, that would work for me. I really should live in Seattle, but I don't. I live in the desert. And sometimes, like, I've had my mom ask me before, she's like, do you think you'll ever move? Just because she knows how much we love the rain. My husband does too. Do you think you'll ever move up there? And the truth is no. Like, I won't ever move from Utah unless there's a big problem. I love Utah. I love living where I do. I live so close to a lot of my family. We've just got like incredible friends here. I don't see myself leaving ever, but I would love to have a vacation home up there. You know, while we're dreaming big, I would love to have a rental up there that, you know, we can rent out Airbnb most of the time, and then I can just go and stay there whenever I want. That would be best case scenario for me. All right. So we got another corner here. Did I show you this? So what I just did is I sewed this strip on the bottom. I'm kind of plowing ahead. I don't know if I'm talking about it enough. So we're almost done with page 11 of the pattern, which is exciting because every time you get to turn a page on a big pattern, and you're like, yes, I'm getting that much closer. Okay. All right, let's press this. Is she by the same father? Oh my gosh, such a silly song. Okay. I'm going to trim this real quick. All right, so now what we're doing, oh, this is the hood of the car. So I was like, I'm just making what the pattern says. I don't actually know what I'm making. This is going to go over here. Can you see? Here's the window, and this is going to be the hood that sits out in front of the truck. All right, so we've got to put these together. I think I might have shown you that on the wrong side, but you get the idea. You know what I'm talking about. All right, our truck is actually coming together, which is so fun. I hear the garbage truck outside. That's exciting too. We needed the garbage truck this week. You know, some weeks you like are just praying for the garbage truck to come. I've got some comments I didn't notice. Sorry about that, guys. Like you, I love rainy days and all the green, and I live in the desert. Yep, me too. I know. I will never leave. And Joyce says that's a big pickup truck. It really is. I know. It's going to be huge. And Joyce, were you here earlier when I showed the wheel? I'll show it again. It's huge. All right, let me sew this on and then I'll show you the wheel. And this is the hood of our truck. And then we're done with the window part. So let's see. Yeah, I think we will finish the wheel. I'm going to work on the wheel too. The other wheel, since we have time. This went faster than I thought. I've been live for like 20 minutes. I thought this was going to take a lot longer. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do the wheel. All right. It's looking cute. All right, here's the hood, the window, and the hood of our truck. How cute is that? All right, and now I'm going to show you the wheel so you get an idea of the perspective on this. Here is the wheel. I don't know if I can hold this up any higher. It's huge. This truck is going to be enormous, you guys. Okay, so we have to make one more wheel, which we will do right now. All right, so I'm going to set this aside over here. And the second wheel is going to be identical to this. There's going to be like things sewn on to, you know, connect little connector pieces, but the wheel will look just like this. Okay, so let me grab my wheel pieces, which I did set aside just in case we got this far. And we did, so that's nice. Okay. Well, I think I have most of the wheel pieces, not all of them. I need to trace my diagonal lines on the backs of my pieces here. And I'm using a pencil because they're not going to be seen. And also I'm on like charcoal colored fabric, which is kind of hard to see. So really I'm just kind of giving it the slightest little indent. Oh no, I can see that. I thought I would be able to see it. I can see it. All right. So this week, I'm really excited. I'm going to the Springville quilt show. So in my city, it's the city next to me, Springville. They have an art museum. They're actually called Art City. That's like their little name, their little slogan, Art City. And they have a really nice art museum, one of the best in the state. And every summer they do a quilt show and it's like epic. I love it. And it's been going on forever. My grandma back in like 1995, I want to say, she had a quilt in the quilt show. She won Best in Show. It's like a statewide thing. It's a very big deal for quilters in Utah. So I had a quilt in the show. I think it was 2022. I think it's 2021. It's been a while. I had a quilt in the show. Anyway, they did this great quilt show, and but the summer's kind of gotten away from me, and I was so scared that I'd missed it, but I didn't. So I'm going to go with my mom on Thursday. We're going to go to the show, and I'm really excited. So I'll take good pictures and show you guys all the gorgeous quilts. But I'm just so impressed with the creativity that people have, like in the fabrics they use, the methods they use. One of my favorite things to see is how people will embellish their quilts. Like sometimes they'll put rhinestones on them, or they'll put I don't know, all sorts of things, ribbons, or they'll sew stuff out of like shiny fabric, like not quilting fabric, you know, just different fabrics. And it's really, really fun to see what people do. And the rules for the show is you cannot submit a quilt that was put together with a kit. You can use a pattern, but if it was kitted for you by someone else, it is not eligible for the show. And like, obviously they're going on honesty. But you had to choose the fabrics so that you are, you know, it's your original art, and you can have it quilted by a long armor or by someone else. That's totally fine. But it's awesome. I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited to go for myself, and then I'll show you guys what I see. And it's like it's the whole main floor of the art museum is quilts. So there are hundreds, I feel like, hundreds of quilts to see. It takes me like, if I'm not dawdling too much, it takes me like an hour and a half to see the whole thing. It's awesome. And then later in the month, in September, is the Garden of Quilts, which is another like a very big giant garden in Utah. Riley Blake does it where they hang quilts all throughout the gardens. And those aren't like judged necessarily, like they don't have like certain criteria and things, but it's so fun to go walk through the gardens and see the beautiful quilts. My friends who are not quilters that I adore, they call it Grandma Con. They say the Garden of Quilts is Grandma Con, and we go every year together, and we love it. Anyway, even though they don't love quilting, we like to go look at the quilts, and they're like supportive of me, and anyway, they're cute. It's fun. And I tell them every year I'm going to make us matching quilted vests, and I never do. And it's definitely not happened this year because that show is in like 2 weeks. So sorry, Drew and Ashley, I'm not making you quilted vests, but we'll still go to Grandma Con. All right. I don't know that I showed you this before I just started sewing. Let me show you where we're at here. All right, so I snowballed all 4 of these corners on the square, and then I've now sewn these side pieces on for my tire. This is the tire of the quilt, and this is in the charcoal gray color. We've got gray and black, because the black is actually the wheel well behind the wheel. So you don't want to make your tire black because you need that darker color to be behind it. All right, so there's that. Now we need to make the round part of the wheel underneath, and then we'll make the round part of the wheel on top. And do that here. Okay, I want to make sure I got the right size here. 2.5. Check, check. I already had diagonal lines drawn on these, so I'm ahead of the game. My friends tease me that I'm a grandma, even though I'm in my 30s. I'm not a grandma, I should clarify. I do not have grandchildren, but they tease me that I say phrases that are grandma-ish, and I'll tell you what some of those phrases are. Let's see, Joyce said, quilt shows are so fun. I love to see all the new gadgets they have. I live in Houston, so the International Quilt Show is huge. Oh my gosh, yeah, if you live in Houston, I would probably go every year. I've been to the International Quilt Show and it is so fun, but holy cow, it is so overwhelming how much there is to see, and the quilts themselves are stunning. I've been to Quilt Con, which is, it moves every year, and that is the convention put on by the Modern Quilt Guild. And then I've been to the International Quilt Show, which is always in Houston. And I really prefer the International Quilt Show. QuiltCon was fun, and like there's great vendors, it's fun to walk around, but when you say Modern Quilt Guild, they are not kidding about the modern. It is very modern, very avant-garde, and that's not my style of quilting. And so like I can appreciate some of it, you know, I appreciate the art and the skill that goes into it, but it's not what I enjoy making, or like, not that I don't enjoy viewing it. Like it is cool to view something different, but it's not my style. So I really enjoyed the International Quilt Show better because I saw a lot more of things that I'm like, oh, I would make that. Oh, I'm inspired by that. So again, I'm not bashing modern quilts or anything. It's just not my style. And when I say modern, I mean like truly like non-representational, very political statements and things like that. You get a lot of that at QuiltCon. All right, so I've got the wheel, the bottom part of my wheel down here. Joy says I have an old soul, and it's so true. The quilts are works of art, and it's like going to a gallery. Yeah, it absolutely is. It is an art show for sure. They are stunning. Oh, I was going to tell you guys the funny things I say that my friends think is weird. So before I tell you though, I should start by saying I grew up with a dad that has a quip or a phrase for everything. For example, Bob's your uncle. That is a common phrase that was used in my house growing up, and it means you've got it made, you've got it set. So you know, it's like, I'm going to do this and this and this, and then Bob's my uncle. And there is actually a history to it. It's like an English thing. Bob was like this corrupt policeman or something. And if he was your uncle, then you had it made. You wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't get in trouble or something like that. I'm probably botching this story, but so that phrase, Bob's your uncle, was very common in my house growing up. And so I say that around my friends, and I say, okay, Bob's your uncle. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? And the one that makes, that my friend Drew, she always laughs at me about is bee in my bonnet. And that phrase I say when it's like, I don't know why, I had a bee in my bonnet and I just wanted to make cookies. Or, you know, you just like on a whim. A whim is like a bee in your bonnet. Right? And so I'll say, oh, I had a bee in my bonnet, and so I made a chocolate cake. And she's like, what? Excuse me? And so she makes fun of me. She says I have all these old grandma phrases. I said one just the other night that was so normal to me. And gosh, I wish I remembered what it was. If I think of it, I'll say, I was like, everybody says that. That's not an old lady phrase. And then we turned into my third friend, and she was like, no, Natalie, that's a weird phrase. And so I was like, oh, man, I am an old grandma. It's all right. I just have these old little quips and phrases that I grew up with these phrases. That's going to bug me because it just happened the other night. I wonder what it was I said. All right. So this is going to be the top part of my wheel of my tire and the start of the wheel well. So these pieces that go on the top and bottom here, so here's our wheel, our tire. This bottom piece and the top piece I just sewed, they're exactly the same. It's just that the corners of the bottom are going to be from your background fabric, and the corners of your top one are going to be from the black, because that's your wheel well. So, I just messed up my settings. Whenever I mess up my stitch settings, I just turn off the machine and turn it back on, because I'm always afraid I'm not going to get them back to what they were supposed to be. Okay. So, oh, let me sew this on and then we'll have a completed tire and we can go from there. All right, ta-da! We have a tire. So now we're just going to finish the wheel well and kind of the wheel casing that goes around it, and we'll be done. So let me grab my pattern, because this is where I have to start looking at my pattern again. Okay, here we go. I'm going to sew this onto this little strip onto the top of our wheel well. The pattern is interesting. The writer of the pattern, she says to press all your seams open. And I think if I did that, I might die. I hate pressing my seams open. So I'm just kind of ad-libbing, pressing my seams. And so far, everything's been fine. So just so you know, pressing seams open, it has to be really a special occasion for me to do that. I'm not about that. So, all right. Now I need my last black. Okay. I don't know if I have those pieces. We might need to cut a couple pieces. Did I drop those pieces? I'm looking for my 2 by 6 3/4 pieces, and I wonder if I didn't cut enough when I cut these out originally. And now I'm wondering where my black fabric is. Let me see. Hang on, guys. Hang on. Sorry to walk off screen. Anya. Well, that's going to present a problem. We're not going to be able to finish. I've been throwing all my extra fabrics over here in my corner. And I don't even know if you can see the corner. It is chaos. Chaos of fabric over here. All right, well, we might have to end there because I don't have any more of my black fabric over here. Well, that bums me out. Because I guess maybe I used up all my black. Hold on, let me see if I can come up with any solid black fabric in this sewing room that I have, supposedly full of fabric. Oh, no, darn it, that was black minky. Hang on. I got navy. That doesn't help me though. All right, guys. Well, we might have to call it. That makes me sad. I had grand plans of finishing our wheel, but we'll have to do this in another session. But the good news is we are 85% done with the wheel here on the second wheel. Let me show you the first wheel again so you can see. So here's our first wheel. The piece I'm missing that I need to go see what happened to is this one right here. These little side strips. So there's our wheel that I made before. Here's the wheel that we're making. So, okay, maybe we're not 85% way done. Maybe we're 60% of the way there on our second wheel. But we also got our window and hood done. And you can see how these are going to fit together on our truck. So cute. Struggling with this one. Those are going to be so cute. And then we've got the bed of the truck. And then we're done with our truck. So I'm going to probably try and come back and do another live tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Yeah, that should work. So we'll finish our quilt tomorrow. Not our quilt. Oh gosh, we're not going to finish the quilt, but we're going to finish this truck block, and it's going to be a great time. So thank you everybody for tuning in today, and we will reconvene tomorrow, same time, same place, probably like 10:30-ish, and go live with you guys and sew this truck block. So thank you, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.